Let's give a really warm round of applause to Thangam Thennarasu, the Finance Minister of Tamil Nadu, apart from that, the Environment and Climate Change Minister. So that's a huge, huge portfolio. And we have a very, sorry, let me just get this out of the way. Yeah. So we have a very important discussion, which is essentially looking at what our compeer said, federalism and the fun twist. And let me just talk a little bit of that before I come to you, Minister, is that at the heart of Indian democracy, there is a very, very delicate balance. And that is the sharing of resources between the center and state. Unfortunately, recently, that balance has been disturbed and has become a flashpoint, a controversial point. Now, southern states, and that's why we're discussing this, in particular, have been, they feel penalized for what is called good governance, penalized for having high growth rates and low population growth rates. So what happens is in the allocation of resources, states that have large populations tend to get more funds. They may not be generating the kind of funds that were there. We'll get into some of these figures. But another area that has started creating tensions is the GST, which you all agreed upon, but certainly there's been controversy about the fact that are the states' resources going to be denied? We know that the center talked of 48,000 crores of loss. How much of that is the state's loss? How that will be allocated is the other big question. So we have a top expert on this, and you've been finance minister apart from several other ministries that you've been holding. Tamil Nadu has been in the forefront of this whole battle or debate of fair allocation of federal funds. And as I said, there is a paradox. This state works very hard, but does great in economic growth, and yet your share of taxes in central funds have fallen, from central funds have fallen. So how would you see this entire debate that is there? Are you, what are the corrective measures you feel that it should be done? Firstly, the balance of funds. Let's talk of that. What is your sense in terms of the unfairness of that? Is it unfair, as you all have argued? And what needs to be done? Your mic is this. Try this. Sorry.
See, right from the beginning, if you see, there is always a flaw in the system, I would say. As you know very well, when India got independence, the entire nation was very weak, and the focus was on the central stage. And at that time, the center had a lot of responsibilities to build the nation. But eventually, you know very well that the states will have to take care of the needs like education, health and everything. So the states were told to go in for their own revenue generations, creating their own resources. So what had actually happened, the responsibilities which were actually shouldered by the centers over a period of time, it was transferred to the shoulders of the states. And states were burdened with a lot of other responsibilities also. So that created a basic imbalance in the entire scenario right from the day one. What happened, for example, if you take the states now, they are now responsible for 2/3 of the projects, for the 2/3 of the expenditure part of it. Whereas the revenue for the individual states, it stands at only at the 1/3 of it. So your revenue was 1/3 of it, and your expenditures are 2/3 of it. And this 2/3 of expenditure is to be incurred by the states with the revenue sources of only 1/3. So there is an imbalance. So this continues for years and years, and this is yet to be corrected.
Right.
And even after the advent of GST, we all thought that some correction would be done as assured. The revenues of the states would be protected or rather compensated. Even that had stopped at one particular point of time. Even before we were now getting out of the shock of COVID and the aftermath of the COVID and everything. So it is yet to be compensated. So this is, if you take the entire scenario, overall scenario, there have been a consistent issue with the structure of the system. That structures, the flaw in the system, that needs to be corrected first. Only then there will be an equal and fair play of revenue allocations, the resource allocations between the state and center.
Now, do you see this merely as an accounting issue in some senses, or part of a larger, not conspiracy, but a kind of a move, especially where opposition ruled states are there, that the center, which is controlling, which need not necessarily be of the same party as Yola, begins to somewhat use their influence to hammer you all down? Is that something that you have experienced?
Yes, it is always there. The partisan is always there. That is why when I made my first point, I used the word to be fair enough.
Now come to Tamil Nadu. I want you to be specific with regard to Tamil Nadu. You have the BJP government there wanting to capture power along with its coalition partners. How much have they hammered you down in terms of some of the programs?
Yes, it has got a very, I would say, it is not a mere dent on the programs. It has made a very, very specific, irreparable losses to the government. Just because we belong to the opposition, we are not treated on par with the BJP-ruled states. Again, that is why when we are saying, when we are talking about this, that is why we are saying that when it comes to the matters of fiscal issues, there must be a cooperative federalism. The cooperative federalism must be in its true spirits. When there is a partisan between the BJP-ruled governments and the opposition-ruled governments, where those governments will get more money, and the due legitimate fiscal allocations for the states ruled by the opposition is denied. And that is completely, it changes the cooperative federalism into a coercive federalism.